Hello, hello, hello. Let's get this thing started. You guys came to eat, so we'll make that happen. So let's go ahead and have a seat. Does anybody need bottled water or anything? They're in the fridge. Nope. One beer. I will pour it in a cup. Have a seat. Don't be shy. We don't bite. This is why we've had a heck of a lot more people RSVP than show up. They should just say they're not coming, as opposed to saying they're coming. Derek, are we ready? David, hold on one second. We'll get some water to pass them out. Okay. Ron, are you passing yours out? Okay, perfect. All right. Hey, guys, my name is John Ortiz. I'm with BigYield. Today, we're going to be talking about our 2022 ROI data that we had. Yields have been a little down here compared to what they've normally been. They're usually decent, but this year, not so great. We've been really dry and hot. We've got Ron Delves here. He's going to be talking about a nitrogen fixation product. It's a foliar product that you can do on corn, beans, wheat. Then the gentleman that we had that was going to be talking about planting parts is not here. So I may have Brian talk about that. The furrow jets. Perfect, Derek. All right, so we're going to go and get this thing started. So 2022 ROI data on soybeans, BigYield coat. That's what we've got going here on the time-lapse video. So it's BigYield coat corn, BigYield coat soy. You see two different versions there. What we've done is we've condensed them down to one. So we are going to go with just BigYield coat. The data that we looked at this year was on the new product. You can see here the ROI was 2.7 bushel. So for regular, normal, conventional farming, the ROI was 571. For the organic guys, that's 1594. Yield booster, 3 bushel average. Increase, 1599 ROI. Big Sweet Yield DB, that's a foliar blend. Did we pass that out? Did we have those? What'd you say? No, we did not have that. That's a foliar blend that we did right now. So basically, 9.3 bushels, what we saw on that. That was applied at R1, R3. We'll give you guys some product guides as well. 851 bushel. Big Sweet Yield, that's one of our staple products. That's our cold processed sweetener. People are applying that with their herbicide at V3, V5 typically. Then again, R1, R3. Some guys are making later passes at R4. That is 2.7. The typical 3-year average on that product's been 3.3 bushel. So you can see what we've got there, 836% on conventional and 2263 on organic. So that is WSDA certified as well as the dry planter box seed treatment. So Yield Topper OT, that is 761% ROI with a 14.6 bushel increase versus the check. And on the organic, that was 2,074 on the organic. So basically, that's a product. If you guys got questions, David can go over that. So we're going to swap down to corn. The control was 170. Yield coat, 6.4 bushel increase. So 687% ROI. Organic, 1,276. And you can see that was calculated off 1,386 soybeans, 686 corn. Those are the figures that we used at the time. Where'd I go? Yield coat. Yield booster, 10.1 bushel, 1,021. Big Sweet Yield, this was applied, we did this later on in the season. I think we did this at Tassel. This is what we applied with a drone. So 655% ROI increase and 1,220% on the organic. Big Sweet Yield DB, 10.8 bushel increase, 467% ROI. Yield Topper, 405, 783. Yield Topper OT Fish. New product, David? Hold on.
So the Yield Topper products, they're geared more towards our organic side. The fish does not have any limitations for food grade on it. So with the Yield Topper OT, I think there's a 60-day wait period before you can harvest. So with the fish, it works better on a foliar application later. That's why we have 2 formulations for that.
Awesome. Well, and then also too, the soybeans that we used on these were a Willcross and what was the number on it? 8049, and the corn was 3108. 3108 corn. So that's a non-GMO corn hybrid, and then an Enlist soybean. So that's what this data was collected off of. And I'm gonna switch over to Brian. Brian's going to tell you how we use this and how we applied it, basically with a furrow jet system. So come up here, Brian. Brian knows more about equipment than I do. If I tried telling you, I don't even know. So this is what the furrow jet system looks like. This is what we've been putting on planters. I'm going to pass this around.
Hey guys, so most of you I know, for the ones that don't, my name is Brian Kurz. I've worked with BigYield now for about 5 years. I also do a lot of private research testing, a lot in collaboration with John. So a lot of what I started out doing was with building custom planners as far as doing different things. Started out testing different applications, tested for precision, Shafford, a few other different ones that they'd send us different products and test against them, Keaton's. And we found that the more we pushed the volume on the in-furrow, there was really only one of them that kept active placement, stayed there with the mini firmer, and worked all at once. And so if you haven't seen the furrow jet, again, I know many of you have, but kind of just a few basic things about it. One, it's got a little bit of swivel to it, so that way it can stay exactly with it. There's a lot of different systems that will put it either out in front of the row, you'll plant on top of the strip, or a lot of them will try to put it back behind the row. The problem with this, especially with fields around here, is that a lot of the fields around here have bottlenecks. They've got a lot of turns and twists. So even moving the fall off in nutrition available to the plant can adjust very quickly based off of you pivoting. You know, an inch or two off one way or the other can make all the difference in the world, especially running a very high volume like that. Another big thing is as he passes around is the degree angle on the two outside jets. Again, that's going to allow you to run 10 to 15, even as much as 20 gallon, and not hurt that seed quality at all. So, especially too, is there's a lot of different fertilizers out there. Some people run some more high salt ones. A lot of the ones we run are very low salt. But in case you do, as you're pushing those volumes, in case you do run something that's like that closer to it, just gives you a lot more variability to adjust to things that you need in your operation. Some other things that they've adjusted about it, they've improved the mini Keaton seed firmer, so it'll allow it to pull in and out. They actually have an option on there, especially as planters are advancing and changing. They've got an option on there where you can pull that mini seed firmer out and actually put in what they call a smart firmer. That smart firmer is going to read different things like soil temperature, soil moisture, organic matter. I think there's something else too that it reads, but it reads a lot of that, so it's going to give you a lot of good information. It's going to help you adjust your planting depth, adjust whether you need to push for more moisture, whether your temperature is accurate or not, especially for a lot of guys that nowadays kind of the big thing to do is to push earlier and earlier, which shows great results, but also comes with some more risk. They also added, I think, the tip. They have now improved them to where they've got like I think they're 10,000 acres per row. So they've got an extra reinforced, I think it's carbide. Don't quote me on that, but there's something on the front of it that they've changed that now makes that much more high wear. As far as putting them on per row, I think the price on them is still around $330, $340 a row. I haven't checked on some in a month or two. A lot of times we do a lot of that in the springtime. But anyways, very economical, especially with the way the high dry fertilizer is still extremely high. So the payback on these is less than 1,000 acres first year payback. So really easy to make them cost effective. If you got any other questions, I've done a lot with them as far as just kind of what you need to get there, how extensive you want to as far as monitoring what goes on. You can get as simple as just a switch in the cab based off a single pump, very basic orifices, basic sight tubes, or you can get as fancy as having individual row shutoff for every single piece, controlling every single one, having flow sensors on every single one with mercury switches and the whole nine. So it can get as simple or as complicated as you want it to get depending on your operation. But as far as the delivery method, right now there is nothing that keeps up with it. So that's about all I got. I'll hand it back over to you, John. So,
awesome. Yep. Thanks, Brian. All right. So that was the skinny. If you need more questions, we've got the guy that we're working with here. His name's Patrick Stewart. He can help you out. So I'm going to turn this over to Ron Delves now. He's going to talk about his new nitrogen fixation product. This is something that we've been looking at here and had great success with it on the farm.
All right. Thanks, John. Thanks for having me. Let's see if I got a clicker here, maybe. All right. So yeah, my company is Dakota Bio. We're privately owned. Just want to give you a quick look at our production facilities where we ferment things, food grade, pharmaceutical grade, top of the line equipment. Just wanted you to know that it's not me mixing this stuff at home in my garage and the bathtub or something like that. So top of the line stuff. We look at things, everything needs an agronomic benefit, which you hear everywhere, economic benefit, but we kind of add the operational benefit. It's got to be easy to use. When you're out planting, you're not wanting to go through extra steps to get something, even if it's extra yield. So that's, with us, all with a farming background, it's kind of something we add to the traditional pieces there. A lot of research going on for going on 5 years now. What I want to talk about is a product we call Phenom. It would be a competitor to like a Pivot Bio, Proven, and Vita, where it creates nitrogen. So what this one does, it's a little bit different, and I'll get into that. This has actually got two bacteria that live inside the plant. One's on the roots that makes phosphorus more available, and the main mode of action is the bacteria that lives inside the leaf by the stoma. And what that does is it's able to convert nitrogen in the air into nitrogen the plant can use. So here it kind of goes through it. The atmosphere is roughly 78% nitrogen, but it is in the N2 form, which the plants can't use. And so what this does, what this biological does, is it lives there inside the leaf by the stoma and converts that N2 nitrogen into N4 so that the plant can use it. And it's stored, just all season long that you have it on, it's just pumping nitrogen to the plant. Here is a picture from last year, one of our research farms, and that's in the brochure I gave to you too. But what you can see happened here on the right, the anhydrous applicator was plugged on one side. So half of the applicator was either getting very little or no nitrogen, is where you can see those yellow strips through the field. And then there on the left was where the Phenom trial was, so it was green. So we typically don't try to test it. I don't like saying cut your nitrogen, but I got more studies I'll show you too. This was a mistake that showed this covered up the mistake right there where they didn't get enough nitrogen on and is able to green it up. And it actually yielded 17.5 bushels better with the application of the Phenom, creating that nitrogen where it was deficient. Here was a nitrogen study from South Dakota, and what's interesting about this is we cut nitrogen about 55 pounds, and it out-yielded the regular rate. So it went from 220 on the control, we cut 50 pounds, and we still picked up another 5 because of the nitrogen Phenom was creating. But the really neat thing is, when they didn't cut the nitrogen, they ended up with a 17.4 bushel increase. So the best economic thing to do was not to cut the nitrogen and just using this nitrogen as the top end. And that's kind of what I look at. People ask, how much nitrogen can you cut? And that kind of depends on your farm, how much nitrogen you have available. I don't advocate cutting, but I understand with the prices that's something to do. If a person is looking at backing the nitrogen rate down, this is a perfect product for that. A little bit about the phosphorus. So compared to like a Pivot, this has got the extra piece in it that makes phosphorus in your soil more available to the plant. There's a couple ways to do this. You can go in furrow with it, or you can go foliar. And everything I've seen is the sooner you apply it foliar, the better. I've done some at brown silk and saw we got a response, but the sooner you get it onto the plant, if you're in that V2, V3, V4 stage with a herbicide pass is an excellent time to do it. The sooner you get it in the plant, the more nitrogen it's going to create throughout the season. Kind of looking a little bit at the operational benefits here. Comes in two by 2.5s. You've got 15 days in starter. Same with on a spray if you're spraying. The sooner you spray it, the better, but compared to some of the competition, they're looking at hours before it goes bad. So we've got a little bit longer life there. If you're going in furrow, you don't need to cut it with water or anything. You can just go straight into the fertilizer. Look a little bit at the competition data here. This was a couple years study, and what they wanted to do here is kind of show how the better handling of it. So what they did was they mixed up the Pivot Bio, the Invita, which is a competitor, and the Phenom at 4 p.m., put it in the starter, and then didn't plant till the next day. And you see the results here. The other two didn't show a response, and Phenom was actually 10 bushels. Just wanted to show this, that to me, it's definitely a more longer lasting bacteria that's not as finicky in the tank as some of the competitors. Another study here, just kind of showing again where we cut rates, showing compared to the Prove-N. Been seeing these results all over the place on all the different studies where we're out yielding the Prove-N. This was one, the research in Indiana, was 2.9 bushels better than the Prove-N, 7.1 better than Invita. This was in John's plot right down the road here, ended up being 9.8 bushels per acre increase with the Phenom. And that was some of the best looking corn around. John had an agronomist come look at it, and I think his comment was, that's the best corn they've seen in the county here. So what was going on, and I've seen a lot of this too, is with that late season nitrogen, the plant doesn't have to, when it's filling the seed, it doesn't have to pull as much out of the plant. So you end up with a healthier, greener stalk later in the season because of that. Kind of looking, just kind of give you an overall, what we've seen in the 4 years of data on this. On corn, it's been an 88% win rate, so 88% of the time there's been a positive response. Average of 9.7 bushels per acre. And soybeans is a place you can go with it too. It's been a 79% win rate with a 2.3 bushels per acre. Oh, I was looking at I had a picture here somewhere, that's fine, of the plot out here. And I don't think that was nitrogen limited either. Was it out here in the research plot? Yeah, I think. So we've been seeing this 9, 10 bushel increases, and that's not without cutting any nitrogen. So I think, unless there's any questions, I will just wrap it up with that, John, and let you keep moving with things. Okay. Yeah. So like all these studies, we're not actually cutting nitrogen. I showed you the one where we cut 50 pounds and it still yielded more. But when we're seeing these, like in the plot here, this 9.8 was not cutting any nitrogen. It had plenty of nitrogen on it. So there's the potential there for the top end is what we're shooting for. But if you're needing to cut back nitrogen a little bit, it's definitely going to fill the bill for that too. So very good. Thanks, Ron. You bet. Thank you.
All right. Last but not least, we've got Michael Martinet with Willcross. Going to come up. He's going to just say a few words. Because some of you guys ask what corn hybrids, soybean varieties, and stuff like that. I know nothing about that shit. So we'll let him talk.
Hello. Yeah, I'm Michael with Willcross Seed and Eco Seed. I was just going to get up here. If anyone's interested, we carry Enlist soybeans, non-GMO, Roundup. We carry Lewis corn and soybeans and AgriGold corn. We've been having great results using John's products, and we even started experimenting with the food grade. So if you guys have any questions, we'll be over here.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, with that being said, and then after we get done here, the people that are interested in some hemp, after we get done eating, we're going to do that upstairs in Bill's office. Bill, would you bless this food for us before we eat real quick? All right. Well, we're going to get this ready, and then we can start eating. And we got waters in the fridge.